No babies will be barbecued this time. Oh dear. In this video, we will not be barbecuing any babies. At least not this time. Originally, when I was conceiving of this series, I was looking through a bunch of things that I was working on in different expansion packs of The Sims. The original game and expansion packs. I had a few images that I really liked, and especially ones that I worked on in the Live and Large expansion pack. Originally, my plan was to go over stuff that happened in House Party and then do the big four expansion packs: Hot Date, Vacation, Unleashed, and Superstar. I can't really talk about the story of Making Magic because I'd already been walked out of the building by then. Anyway, an interesting story. We weren't doing a lot of improving of graphics early on. We were just getting things done and pushing them in. There were a lot of residual things left over that looked weird or out of scale, not occurring in a world of light and air. So when I made the original 2-slot barbecue with a refrigerator and cutting board, I made it look like the cutting board had burn marks on it from a frying pan. That wasn't really part of the barbecue scenario. I just thought it looked neat, so I put it in. Originally, I built the object, then I animated a sim removing food out of the refrigerator, placing it on the cutting board, and then making the food then and there by moving it over to the grill. However, when you were looking at this brand new to you barbecue, especially in the marketplace, the idea of having marks on it that made it look used raised a lot of hackles. We eventually let the grill marks stay there because they added some visual interest, but later on we wanted to have clean and dirty objects, and this was one of those first occurrences where it wasn't just going to be cruded up with pizza boxes or plates of rotting food and little flies buzzing around it. Originally all the dirt and filth in The Sims, on the countertops, on the ground, on the tables, was dirt and filth of a Z-buffered sprite overlay. So you had the countertop, the plate was on it, and then the plate had different states of gunk, and you had little sprites of flies buzzing around it. There was a lot of back and forth on this subject, but it wasn't as interesting as what came after, involving similar barbecues and what modders did to them. So, on to the modders. The rumor is that someone came into studio one day, got the tools that we use to make the objects and make the Sims interact with things, and just walked out the building and put them out into the broader world. It may have really happened that way. It ended up that these tools were, a year later, making it so people were doing all their fun stuff, like cool clothing and interesting new heads and hairstyles and objects that were mimics, and then had been tweaked to do different things that were kind of cool and things we hadn't even imagined ourselves. This was the day, to me, that user-generated content for big general interest game projects became a real thing. It would be several years before things like the roamy VR persistent worlds like Second Life and posy, chatty, roomy places like IMVU had fully fledged marketplaces where you could buy things. There was just there and gone. Roblox was germinating, and Minecraft was just a twinkle in Mojang's eye. Quickly, a tradition of making outfits and faces and heads and hairs and mimic objects, it began. But then it kind of got dark. I usually say that most Sims players are not snuffers. They don't decide to try out the mortality of their Sims as the default thing or the next thing after building stuff up. There are plenty of storytellers, there are plenty of people doing all sorts of fun and cool stuff, but I don't think they're mostly snuffers. But then somebody in The Sims 2 decided that long pig, as some people call people meat, was on the menu for Sims 2. That kind of dark humor in any kind of visual way just kind of has always rubbed me the wrong way. I ain't gonna stop anyone from doing something that makes them happy because they think it's funny. I'm glad it's not something that most people engage in. The fact that the WTF barbecue OMG came back for The Sims 4, and then they started cooking toddlers in ovens, and it pleases me about as much as the recent Sims 4 Slumlord expansion is going. I prefer that people eat the rich instead of trying to derive sustenance from babies and toddlers. And, you know, you can get pizza or Cajun food, smoothies or sushi in any of those expansion packs in the original game, so why? Just don't eat babies. Please, refrain from eating babies. I'll try to stop myself. It won't be hard, and I hope you will be able to do the same. I made this the first/second day of 2024. Let's have a day without, and maybe a year, or maybe the rest of history without eating babies. Wouldn't that be grand? Build, buy, tell your stories. I'll see you next time.